the 2021 cycle in social affairs and development.
Beatrice, thank you, Ahmad.
Well, hi.
Hi, Beatrice.
My name is Beatriz. I'm from Cuba. Well, my role at the UN right now is an associate statistician. I work for ECLAC, that is the Economic Commission for Latin American and the Caribbean, in the statistic division, especially in economic statistics. I graduated in economics and applied for through the economic roster, although I was selected for this statistic role. Well, in Cuba, I used to work at the University of Havana. I graduated there and continued working at the university. I applied to the YPP call for 2023, joined the roster in September 2024, and started working at the United Nations in February 2025 this year.
Thank you, Beatrice, and like to invite now Elena Aspas.
Yes, hello, good day, and thank you so much for asking me to be part of this workshop. I think it's important, definitely something that I would have enjoyed if I was starting off this YPP process. So as mentioned, my name is Elena Thebes. I am Angolan, and I am currently based in Kigali, Rwanda, with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa in the Sub-Regional Office for Eastern Africa. I currently work on regional integration and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. I, similar to Beatrice, actually joined through the Economic Affairs exam area in 2023, and I follow a very similar timeline, being rostered in September of last year, and I joined in February of this year. Thank you, and looking forward to discussing further.
Thank you, Elena. Maybe this is first information we should know that joining throughout specific exam does not mean you will end up working in that field. You can change later on. Now I would like to know more about Geneva. Hi, Geneva.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for having me, and hello everyone. My name is Geneva Damayanti. I am originally from Indonesia, and right now I am based in New York, where I am currently working at the Financing for Sustainable Development Office under Department of Economic and Social Affairs, where I'm leading their strategic communications, especially for their recently held Fourth International Conference on Financing for Development as their public information officer. And I did YPP a little bit earlier than the others, which was in 2017, actually. And I think that might have been the last exam where we had to do written exam like by hand, then online. But I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to responding to any questions that everyone might have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleagues. And yeah, as I mentioned, I would like your support today in explaining the different stages, expectation, sharing your experiences about each one of the stage, because we want to provide added value to the information already available on the website. So let's start with the YPP. And before we start about explaining the program, I would like to mention that even if you are not eligible for the YPP or your country is not this year listed, I encourage you to keep watching the workshop because we'll provide a lot of information that will help you to apply for any position at the UN. Even if you are a YPP, also we encourage you to apply for position outside or beyond the YPP. The YPP is a merit-based recruitment process, examination for a P2 positions. It was established in 2010 to regenerate the workforce, and to enhance the member state representation, and to develop a dynamic, adaptable pool of professionals. On average, around 60 YPP join the UN annually. And now, why to regenerate the workforce and why specific member state? So you might ask why it's like 32 years and why specific member state? Because the average age right now in the UN, it's around 47 years old. So this program is part to bring more youth to the organization and to, let's say, to bring the average age down. Second, for the member state, some of the member states are not equally represented in the UN workforce. So we try to be equally represented for all nationalities in the workforce in the UN. However, there are certain member states that they should have more nationals in the workforce to be more represented. And that's why your country might be or might not be on the list. So as you might know about the eligibility, there are 4 main eligibilities, and the first 2 are the most important one, which is the nationality. You can read the list of eligible member states. If your country is not there, it might be the next year because it's an annual basis recruitment process. Second, the age, and I mentioned the reason behind it. You should be 32 years old or younger. And if you are not, you should apply for other job opening at the UN. And just to let you know, entering the UN throughout the YPP is no more than 10% of the available opportunity, because the default one is to apply for a regular job opening. So if you cannot apply, seek other job opening, and we'll show you later. For the education, only first level degree is required, bachelor degree. If you have a master, that's fine, but we only ask for a bachelor degree with no experience. You don't have to have experience. For the language, either English or French required in the intermediate level. Across the reading, writing, speaking, understanding, we'll talk more about it. Now, I will give you overview, then we'll go step by step. YPP examination overview, it will start with application process, then assessment process, then the roster placement. For the application process is to learn about the YPP, what you are currently doing with us, then you apply via Inspira, which is our recruitment system, and then the application will be screened. And if you are screened, you will be you will be invited to the first exam. For the assessment process, it has 2 exams and 1 interview, competency-based interview. Hopefully, you will pass the first exam, the second exam, and the interview. You will be placed on a roster. It's like a pool for successful YPP, and then you will be deployed later on, depending on the availability of vacancies across the UN system. I'm just, going very quickly here because we will tackle each stage in details with my colleagues. Now, for this year, it is only in one area of examination, global communication. The application already open, and the deadline is on the 14th of December. So you have time to apply. And after you apply, the screening will will be between November and December. And the assessment process, the exams and the interview will take part in the first half of the next year, and the result will be around June. For the area of examination, this year, global communication, next year might be different area or different areas. Like last year, there were 3 areas of examination, for example, administration, human resources, and finance. This year, global communication, I did it throughout economic affairs. Some of my colleagues did it throughout political affairs, so it varies. But regardless, of the area of examination, you are welcome to apply, because it's merit-based examination. As long as you pass the exam, there is no problem about your specific background. Now for the application and the screening process, this is the most important one, because you might be screened out and not having the opportunity to participate in the actual exam because of mistakes that you can avoid regarding age, nationality, education, language, and the screening question. Also, you should apply. And I'm just sharing the data of one of the member states who actually underrepresented, and you can consider it your member state. As you see, this is from the last year. And for this country, you know, as you see, only applied 76 people last year. And when you see here convoked to part 1, it means the screening. Out of the 76, only 55 is screened. Why? Because maybe they provided information that let the system screen them out. Maybe they are older than 32 years, or they didn't put their nationality right, or maybe the education, maybe the language. We'll talk more. But this is really critical one. Spend time reading the description and the criteria and tailor your application for that. Great. Now we'll start tackling the application step by step. First of all, before maybe we start with the exam, I would like to ask my colleagues about maybe what are the common mistake they know or they are aware of that lead at the end screening people out of the process, including the YPP. Ahmad, would you like to share some of these mistakes?
I'll steal one from you, and I think you've mentioned this before in previous sessions. With language, make sure that you list all of your languages, including English. Sometimes people forget that. They just assume that it will be expected that they speak English fluently, maybe because it's their native, or there's just this assumption. So making sure you list all of your skills clearly. Obviously age would be an automatic one. I'm trying to think of more for the screening stage. Maybe my other
Elena?
panelists can help me.
Yes, just to add to that, I was thinking about nationality. It is possible that multiple of you have dual nationality. And so during the screening process, there is an option to select your primary nationality. Please ensure that the nationality that you select on that is the one that is eligible for this process.
Exactly. Geneva?
Sure. So I think for me, it's important to include your education details and whether you have completed your degree or you're in the middle of, completing your master's, for example. I think I might have mistakenly put something there for like the previous YPP where I didn't pass. So make sure you really take a closer look into this, and also the number of years of your work experience, because they will all count towards like how many years of experience in the end.
Yes, all of that are really valid reasons for screening out. I also will share my own mistake. I applied twice. So one of them was because of the education. Although I had a bachelor degree back then, usually they, in the job description, as we'll see, they will list certain possible fields they are accepted. And then when you go to apply, you will have a drop-down list to select. You might, let's say, have a field, a study field, let's say in international communication, and you don't find this in the drop-down list to choose from. Then you go and select other. Other will be treated as none of the mentioned in the list. So to avoid being screened in, don't select other and write your bachelor or field of study. Try to select the closest one. For example, international communication. For example, you might choose media studies or communication studies, the closest available one in the list. Yeah, of course, I made the same mistake in language, Ahmad, but when I applied for an internship, so I was screened out because I put a different or a lower level than the expected one. Beatrice, do you want to add anything?
Well, this is the parts of the process that I remember the least, actually. In my case, where I have the lucky that I applied once, and I had never heard about the YPP program until some professor of mine at the university sent me the link. So I had not much previous knowledge about it. But I just want to say, because maybe some countries that are here are in the same case of me, that it is important to detail like the experience, but because it's going to be important then when you're going when you are in the roster. But in the case of the certifications, for example, they don't ask for any certification, and for some countries like Cuba, for example, that is a very important thing, because in Cuba it's very difficult to get an international certification. So you're going to prove the knowledge that is needed on the exams. So just that.
Great. Now to move from now, assuming you built your application and you submit it and it's screened in, and now you are invited to exam number 1. My tip: once you submit, don't wait. Don't wait until you hear back about the result, if you're invited or not. Start preparing, because as we'll see, the key success for passing the YPP is that you are really prepared for the exam 1, exam 2, and the competency-based interview. Now for the exam 1, as we'll see, and you might know that you will be provided with a reading list and a sample test. And you will expect like similar test, actual test in reality. And you might ask, the reading list is big, long, maybe 15, 20 sources, most of the sources 300 to 400 pages, reports. Maybe it's not even my field in communication, how we're gonna prepare. So we'll talk more about it, but for the exam itself, it's gonna be multiple choice exam, 2 hours, and you will be tested in 2 different dimensions. The foundational skills that has nothing to do really with the exam itself. It's more about, let's say, psychometric test, how you will, let's say, react or perform under different situation or scenarios. The second dimension is actually the substantive knowledge, which is related to the area of examination of this year global communication. I'm gonna hear more about, let's say, the preparation tips that my colleagues might be willing to share with you. Who's willing to start?
I can perhaps start since I did it in public information, or back then they call it Infonet, information public information network. I think for global communications, a couple of things. One is to really understand the way global communications work in the UN. So how did I do it? Is one, just read a lot about, first of all, global communications in the UN Secretariat, there is a Department of Global Communications, where I work for 5 years before my what I'm doing right now, and learn about the department, understand about the different type of communications activities that they're doing, whether they're doing news coverage or partnership with, let's say, FIFA or like Hello Kitty. This is all part of communications and outreach, how they do it, whether it is social media. So first is to understand how global communications is run in the UN, and then you can further look into how other departments do their communications work, as well as other UN agencies like UNICEF, which is doing such great job in how they do their campaign, etc. And not only understand, but also look into the kind of language, the kind of tone and storytelling that they do in order to basically reach their aim. And the aim is to communicate and tell UN stories, tell the stories of the people that we promise to serve to the world, and also help to try to drive actions. So how do they do that? What kind of language they use? And this is all based on reading of the website, different from different agency as well. And also look at social media platforms that UN have, so that you can see the type of work that they're doing.
Thank you, Geneva. Yeah, actually reading throughout the reading list are the only way to expect what you're gonna be tested for, because the question are based on the reading list. Who's gonna go next? Sharing tips about preparing for the exam.
Oh,
Patrice?
yeah, thank you. Well, in my case, in the economic roster, well, as you may know, some list of study materials for the exam will be suggested, not, but these are like mainly books, no? So I think that is important to make like a strategy of how you're going to prepare for the exams, no? Because it's going to be like too much, and you're not going to be able to read it, everything, and to prepare on everything. No? So I suggest that for the first stage, for example, that is multiple choice, that could be multiple topics, maybe to focus more in a general, comprehensive of everything, and covered the most important topics that you think that were important of each subject. And then for the next stage, for the second stage, I would recommend more to maybe pick some topics and get deeper on them, no? Because you are going to write, and you're going to speak out more deeply, more deeper about them. So it's like I think that it's very important to set well the strategies to prepare in these two first stages.
Thank you, Patrice. Elena?
Yes, definitely everything that my colleagues have mentioned already. Also, having done the economic affairs one, I thought, the reading list is quite extensive. However, there are certain topics that you can see might be asked in these examinations, particularly if they give you a brief 10-paper report. Then in that case, you can almost assure that the something on that topic will come up on the exam. And so I think for me, what I did is I just ensured that the principles of, in my case, economics, and luckily for me, I had graduated just 2 years prior to the exam. So a lot of the things were quite fresh in my mind. But doing that refresher and going through the reading materials and picking out the topics and looking at an overall view, and just ensuring that at least the basic principles of those topics I can talk about, and then go a little bit more into detail for the things that I'm particularly good at. I think we haven't discussed the part of the multiple choice questions that has to do with competencies and communications and whatnot. That's also a really important part of the first stage of the exam, also multiple choice. And for that, I would really encourage, at least at that stage, this, I think it was called the psychometric exam or something like that. Do your reading about that. Understand the UN core competencies as well. That will definitely be able to get you through that first stage. For the second stage, I don't know if we're discussing this already. It is more so open-ended written. Yeah, open-ended written questions. This one will really require you to, as I think Geneva had mentioned, do a lot of reading on UN work, because the type of answer that they're looking for should somewhat be aligned to the language and the tone and the information that goes into formal UN reports or briefs, etc. So reading is fundamental, and definitely preparation. And also, as Beatrice mentioned, being strategic about what you focus on, as long as you have that overall, foundation of the topic.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Elena, about, the reading list might be huge, but you need to able to put them into categories and to try to summarize the main theories, idea, concepts, and expect what kind of a question under these concept you might have. Even the sample test you will read is basically based on the reading list. So you will see how they are asking questions about theories, concepts you already read in the reading list. What about you, Ahmad?
Yeah, so I would definitely agree with everything mentioned by the colleagues. So I'll try to focus on other aspects, especially because for me personally, when I did the exam, I was actually doing my master's in international social policy. So I was very lucky that the exam session that was opened up for the YPP was in that field. So I'll be honest, I did not read as much as I would have otherwise to refresh my mind, or if it was a different field. So I'll focus on the competencies, and going back to maybe the basics, I would recommend reading when you go into the YPP, into Inspira or UN Careers, and you see the job opening for the YPP, I would really read and dissect the responsibilities and the competencies in a lot of detail. And really, in terms of what my colleague said about creating a strategy, start thinking about your past experiences and expertise and how you can link them to those different responsibilities. This is for a later stage. Hopefully, it'll be more relevant when you get to the interview. But at least for the exam, even for the competencies, reading those competencies, and not just the ones listed for, I would recommend not just the ones listed in this job opening, because I think, if I'm not wrong, Mahmoud, different job openings sometimes focus on different competencies. So I would actually go and Google all of the competencies that the UN focus on. And the reason I say that is because the more you read on that and you try to kind of develop a stronger understanding of what are the values that the UN has and what are its expectations from its staff, and you try to embody that as much as possible and go into the exam with that mindset, especially when it comes to multiple choice questions about competencies. That's, I think, what we're really trying to gauge is how closely aligned you are to those competencies. So
yeah, I agree with you, except that they are not requested to read about leadership competency that are expected from leadership at the UN, because this position for entry level associates. So be aware of that. That's great. Maybe allow also me to share my input, as also I joined throughout YPP in 2022. And sometimes you might not be very lucky that the area of examination is exactly the same field of study. Like Elena, like myself, I applied throughout economic affairs, and I already graduated last year in economic affairs. And the reading list were somehow exactly the same textbooks I took into university. And now the question, what in case you were not uh, uh, studying the same field, or maybe you studied it a long time ago? What do? In my opinion, you should leverage the AI. You should leverage the AI. So mainly what you're gonna do is you need to categorize the main concepts, theories, ideas uh, uh, in the readings material. For example, let's say microeconomics, macroeconomics, you have about monetary policy, fiscal policy, taxation, etc. So it's like a concept, a theory. So you categorize them, then you try to expect a question based on the sample test. Now you have maybe 15 to 20 reading material, books, reports, thousands of pages. You can do that, you can, but if you don't have time, leverage the AI to read throughout these materials, to categorize them, to summarize them into practical, let's say, summaries, and then let the AI itself use the sample test you have to generate more questions for you, especially in the written assessment. Because the more you practice for typing the question or writing the answer, more prepared you will be and more likely you will pass the exam. This is my tip, especially if you are not specialized in this area of examination, global communication. Now maybe we'll move to the last part of the assessment, which is the interview. In theory, here in the UN, it should be the easiest one because it's not based on any technical expertise. However, as I see, because myself, I participated in the as a panel member in the YPP recruitment interview stage, and I'm sad to say that many people did the right job, the hard work, passing the first one, second one, and then just failed in the interview. Why? Because they came to the interview to talk as if it was to just discussion or telling us what they can do. However, they didn't know that it has its own way of preparation and it has its own way or style of answers. So to avoid that, would like to share with you more about the stage. And basically remember two acronyms, CBI and CARL. CBI, competency-based interview, it's one of the main and most and widely used interview assessment style in the United Nations. And CARL is the method you're gonna use to answer this question, which is in a nutshell that you're trying to answer the question in the form of a story about something you did in the past. So it's sharing what you did in the past in the form of story. So you always start with the context. You set the context for your answer. Then the action, what the action you did, what was the result, and what did you learn? And it's basically based on the competency that will be shared in the job opening. So when you read more about the competency, and actually the expected questions for each competency are available online, so you can read more. But the key idea here is to prepare your answer. What do you think, Beatrice?
Well, yes, actually, I think that one very important thing is that one, not to prepare the preparation and to practice before going, because the interview is not too long. So it is important that you share the main ideas and don't vague too much. No, I think that the two more important thing I would say is one, to practice and to go prepared for the interview, and at the same time to be honest. I mean, talk about yourself, no, talk about your skills, what you've done so far, what you like to do in the future. Maybe that could be good as well. Be honest about how you communicate with your colleagues, how you prepare your work, how you manage your time, that kind of things, no? How you work on teams. But be honest, be calm. I mean, the people that the evaluators are not going to be tough on you, no? They are going. It would be like an open talking, and you just share what you have done so far, and practice. That is important. Be prepared.
Yeah, exactly, Patrice. Actually, as a panelist, we have a rubric, and we try just to follow your answer if you are meeting the indicators. And also the indicators might be available, not the exact one, but it's universal how to prepare for such interview. So the indicators are somehow common. So we are just following indicators to see, did he mention that? Did she mention that? And yes, we're trying to be easy to see if you just fit for the position. What do you think, Geneva?
Hi, yeah, so I just want to echo what Beatrice was saying. I think it's really important to be sincere and to be honest in your answers because it's very obvious and during the interview whether you're making things up or it really was your experience. And plus, the interview panelists will ask more probing questions. So we'll drill even more what exactly you did and things like that. But I wanted to come in with a couple of kind of practical or logistical tips, which is that during my preparation, I remember on my table I had so many post-its, and what the post-its have are keywords that will remind me of the different examples that I will use for each of the questions that will be asked. So I think that during your preparation for each of the competencies, you can prepare by thinking about the experience that you had. Even maybe create some sort of matrix or something like that. And for each of those example, a line about the context, the action, the result, and learning. But also prepare more than one example for each of the competencies. And this will help you to think on your feet quicker. But so that's more like kind of a practical tips. But for sure, the content of what you're sharing, it should really be a reflection of what you've done, what your experience, what your challenges were. And so the panelists will be able to assess your contribution more fairly.
Thank you, Geneva. Ahmed, I would like to hear more from you about
Sure.
how did you prepare for the CBI?
Yeah, I would say for the competency-based interview, again, reading through the core competencies for this opening and reflecting on my experience. And as others said, the important thing is not to try to come up with something that you think will sound correct, but rather look at your past experience and try to find the best examples that demonstrate that you have these competencies, starting with that context, describing the situation. This is what I did. This was the result of the actions that I had taken. And this is what I learned. I would also say for the interview, sorry, I got distracted by the sound. For the interview, I also think it's good to have some notes, whether it's post-it notes. I had a piece of paper next to me and I would glance at, but maybe the notes are better to keep your eyes straight. And to be honest, if I can do a shout out, there is a video also on YouTube by Michael Emery, and it's on competence-based interviews. I think he is a director in International Office of Migration at the time, and he explains it in a very beautiful way. So also use those online resources. If you Google, United Nations competency-based interviews, you will see that there's a lot of public information on the types of questions that are asked, what are we looking for when we ask those questions, and on YouTube as well, and just really prepare. And at the same time, be yourself. be confident, you got to that stage for a reason. You had already gone through a rigorous process. By the time you're at the interview, hopefully you have a lot of confidence in your abilities. So that helps a lot when you carry yourself into the interview with that confidence, and the preparedness will help you be confident when you're there.
Mhm. Thank you, Ahmed. And now my question to Elena. As Ahmed mentioned, preparation is really important, that you expect the question, you prepare your answer. But do you advise people to read? So if they prepare their answer, should they read?
Yeah, I mean, I think that reading, so the competency-based interview, as you've mentioned, is not a technical one. Reading can be part of understanding how to answer competency-based interview questions.
I mean if they prepare their answers and they have it like
Ah,
notes and
no. Okay,
sure.
no. I think no. So actually, let me just start off by saying, I think very similarly to my colleagues here, I think we all prepared very, very similarly. I also had little posted sticky notes with keywords and whatnot. I've also did a matrix. I looked back at my history, my work experience, and I tried to think about things that I could link and experiences that I could link. So I had my notes, but I was not reading from them. They're your experiences. You should be able to remember them and speak naturally. I think that's also something that the competency-based interview looks for. Are you able to communicate things? Do you know what you are talking about? And so even though I do recommend making notes, I think we all have here what that preparation will help you not have to look at those notes, right? And so try to make it as sort of, I wouldn't say necessarily conversational because it is a formal interview, but sound like you know what you're saying, that you're being honest. I can actually say that during my interview, even though it is a competency-based, I did mention some experience that I had writing a report when I was working at UNDP. And one of the panelists actually asked me a sort of technical follow-up question. If I wasn't honest about what I was saying, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question, and they would have been able to spot that immediately. And so preparedness, honesty, try not to read from your notes. It's natural that if you're speaking like this, maybe you want to jot down something you think about quickly or to remember the question. But I think it's important to be able to also communicate like this.
Exactly, Elena. So as you see, the common thing between all of my colleagues, myself, is preparation. And this is gonna help you not only for the YPP, it's mostly for any job interview in the UN, you're gonna use this style. Even beyond the UN, this kind of method will help you, will train you how to be more clear and how to provide more structured answers to any question you might receive. Now, as I promised, we'll provide a demo how to navigate the UN career and how to read the job description. Because between 20 to 40% of applications across the UN are screened out because of the automated screening system. What does that mean? That people did not take the time to read throughout the job description to see if they are matching with the job description requirements. So if you ask me what is the most important step when you apply for any position, including the YPP, I would say read the job description to see if you meet or you don't meet the requirement. Because if you don't meet the requirement, you will save a lot of wasted time. So you can focus on other job description. So for now, you will see here, or we will show the comparison between two job opening. First, the YPP, because actually it's a job opening. As you see, YPP, Global Communication for External Applicant, P2. And a regular job opening in the UN, P3 position, it's higher, needs more experience, program management. And because they have the same structure in the job description, will help you to read through the job description so you know more when you apply. Let's start. So when you go online, you want to work in the UN, you type UN careers. And as I mentioned, The first website will appear is the UN Careers, which is related to the UN Secretariat, not all the other agencies and funds. I will show you later how you can find these websites. So first, once you land on this website, you click on Search Job. And you will see here, the screen is split into two main areas. The first one is the job opening, showing what's available. And on the left side is the filters, the categories. It's really important to use them so you can find the exact job opening you want, like job networks, job family, categories, duty station or location, etc. As you see here, I'm gonna select from the category Young Professional Program. Let me show you. Yeah, the laser pointer. You see my laser pointer? Yeah, so you will go to category and select Young Professional Program. It's a category. We have other categories like internship, consultant, professional level, national officer, etc. It's a glitch. So for my colleagues and presenter, if you have the ability to control the presentation, please just stay outside the...
I think it's me. How do I stop the mess that I'm making? How do I?
That's fine. I'm gonna reshare the presentation. No problem. Sorry for that.
Sorry.
No worries. So because Ahmed was given the presentation privilege, he now control our presentation. Our presentation is hacked by Ahmed now. So let's go back to the... Let's go back to... Yeah, here. Let me know when you see the slide. Okay, good. So as I mentioned, you apply for Young Professional Program. There are other categories like consultant, professional above, national officer, etc. Now assume you selected the YPP. This is what you're gonna see. The job description, where is the job is located, the deadline, as you see here, December 14. This is the job description. It's the same across all job openings in the UN. If you understand this, you will be able to apply for any position. It's a start with the organizational setting and reporting, responsibility, competency, education, specific qualification, work experience, language, assessment, special notice, United Nations consideration. And there are two important sections here. I need you to be aware of that for non-YPP positions. It's a special notice and United Nations consideration. Because if you read these two sections, you will know exactly if you are eligible or not. So the reporting or setting, organizational setting and reporting, this section gives you the context of the position, like which UN entity and division you are applying to, what the office does, and where the duty station is located, because it helps you to search for this entity. So it gives you the big picture and how can you contribute to this office or to this entity. As you see here in the YPP, you are expected to have B2 level across many duty stations like in New York, Geneva, Nairobi, Beirut. In our example, the B3, it's only in UNIP because it's specific job description or a job opening. Now for the responsibilities, we'll not go into it, know it from many other job opening. The only thing I want to mention and also to hear from my colleague, it's really important to tailor your application to the responsibility. What do you think, Ahmed? How it's really important that you tailor your experience? to the responsibilities mentioned in the job opening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would essentially, the starting point is reading it thoroughly. And then I would say don't discount experience that you might have had because you think the context is not perfectly aligned with, international affairs or the UN. Take all of your work experience that you have done and see really what are the strongest past experiences and skills and knowledge that you have from whatever that experience may have been, and how does that link here? So it could be from a completely different context, but it would still be relevant to the responsibilities you do here.
Yeah, and Elena, my question to Elena, like, do you agree that, for each job opening, you should read the responsibility and try to tailor the experience? So maybe to change the way you tell your story or experience based on the responsibility.
Yeah, definitely. I do think so. I mean, thoroughly going through the responsibilities, having that in mind when you're writing about the experiences that you have is really important, because it is possible that multiple people apply for this position, right? And if you are able to explain that the experience that you have, even if it's not 100% fit, is still relative and to the responsibilities they're asking for, that is something that I would do. And so definitely try to tailor your responsibilities. It's almost like applying to any other job. You sometimes tailor your CV, highlighting certain aspects that are more aligned to the position, etc. So this is something quite similar. Still being honest with all the experience that you have, just trying to link it better, highlight certain aspects that they may be looking for a lot more. So definitely
Yes.
important.
Thank you, Elena. Now we'll go to the competencies. And as Ahmed mentioned, there are a lot of competencies in the UN, and each job might require different job competencies. As you see in the YPP, you have the professionalism, you have organizing, planning and organizing, and you have a client orientation. This is like three main competency. Maybe for the other, you have other competencies. Why they are really important? Because they will help you tailor your CV and also will help you prepare for the competency-based interview. In other words, the competency-based interview is gonna be only on the competencies mentioned in the job description. And that's why it's really important to read about them. Now for education, as you see here, it's only bachelor degree, but for other job description, for other job opening, let's say for this P3, as you see, they might say successful completion of both degree or non-degree in data analytics is desirable. We'll talk more about what is the meaning between required and desirable. So here for the YPP, it's only bachelor degree is required. For the job specification, for example, for the YPP, they don't need experience, so they don't need any specific qualification. So as you see here, it's not available. However, if you are applying for B3, for program management, they need certification and project management is required. Required means that if you don't have it, you will be screened out, whether by the system or by the recruiter. Desirable means you can apply, the system will not screen you out, but maybe later you might be screened out if you don't have this desirable. We'll talk more about that. Now for the work experience, as you see, no work experience is required. Here in the B3, minimum of 5 years. And in the UN, when they say minimum 5 years, they assume you have a master's degree. If you don't have a master's degree, only a bachelor degree, you will add 2 years. And that's why I said you should tailor your CV or resume when you apply, because when they say 5 years of experience, they mean relevant experience. And maybe I would like to hear more from Geneva about the relevant experience. So when we say like, you know, you need 5 years of experience, is it like enough that, you know, I worked like 5 years and this is it? Or there is a way to see how this experience is relevant or not?
I'm not sure if I can like answer your question accurately, but just based on my experience, first of all, when it's asking for relevant experience, then regardless if let's say you have done like 7 years of work experience, but you only have done 5 years in communications, that they will only take that 5 years experience. That's my understanding, but I may be wrong. But I think also what's important is if you have done some internship, I believe that would be counted like half of the amount of years. So if you've done like a year of internship, that's equivalent to 6 months. That's my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's important to highlight also when they say like relevant experience, let's say maybe your experience was in project management, but you have done some communications work under that role. I think it's important that you highlight that in your in the way you write or input your answer in the system, because that will just highlight the relevant experience that you have.
Exactly. So now moving to languages, as you see in the YPP, the required one, English and the French. But as we mentioned previously, either French or English. And you see the level here is 3. Now for the other, the B3, as you see, the required is only English. However, they mention if you have French or Spanish, it's desirable. And I will show example how to put this into practice. Now for the assessment, we already mentioned that. It's here stated how you're going to be assessed in the YPP. For the B3, for example, it's only the CPI. There is no examination for that. Now the special notice, this is really important. Why? Because it's explained the type and the duration of the appointment and who is eligible to apply and what the specific rules that may apply. Here, as you see, it will be, it's mentioning the countries. Also, it's mentioning the gender parity. Like, you know, women also are encouraged in to apply in the duty station that has less representation of women. I'm just mentioning that because your country is underrepresented. So you have a kind of advantage for applying for geographical position. And you might ask, how can I know the geographical position? Here, special notice. If you see they are mentioning these countries are encouraged to apply, it means when you apply, you have advantage for this position. The same for the consideration, United Nations consideration. It's just outlines the ethical and the legal standard of the UN employment, also about the gender parity as I mentioned before. The same YPP, beyond the YPP, no fee. You are not expected to pay any fee at any stage of the recruitment system. Now, I would like to, why did I mention that you really need to read the GO carefully? I will show you example, how many people apply and they say, you know, we don't receive anything back from the UN. This is an example in the category called National Professional Officer. And here it is in New Delhi. In the special notice, here, in the special notice, they say this position is open to Indian nationals only. So if you apply and you are not Indian, you will be screened out. Also, this is for required and desirable. Assuming I am a hiring manager, I need to select one at the end. I receive like 500 applications. 300, all of them met the required criteria. What should I do? One of the tools I can use is to invoke desirable. So you might say, okay, I have the requirement, I don't have the desirable, I will apply. Okay, you can apply. You are encouraged to apply, but also expect if you don't have the desirable, later on in this recruitment process, the hiring manager might invoke this criteria, so it becomes like required. So it will filter out all people who don't have this level of French. They might invoke it, they might not. The same apply for experience, the same apply for education when they mention something is desirable. Here, the duty station, and also I would like to hear more from my colleague about that. If you want to increase your chances in getting a job in the UN, beyond the YPP, try not to only apply for the most competitive duty station, which is New York, Geneva, Bangkok. There are a lot of duty stations. As I mentioned before, there are 450 duty stations. And many people apply for these three, and they are the most competitive one. Right, guys? They are really competitive, these duty stations. So, Ahmed, do you agree that considering applying for application beyond these three duty stations will increase your chances?
Yeah, I think it does increase your chances, and I think also more importantly, it also, uh, if I can be honest, it is already in ways showing your commitment to the organization on a deeper level. Because sometimes it's not. Sometimes people may assume that you're more interested in the higher, let's say that what are seen as higher desirable, or where people are constantly applying, as that might be your primary motivation. But also it's good to get into that mindset of the UN is a global organization that represents all member states, and we have a presence, like Mahmoud showed in the beginning of the presentation, across 450 different locations. So this is in itself something that is looked on very favorably, that you as an applicant are someone who is excited by this global mission and global reach, and that and actually, speaking of the YPP, maybe I'm skipping ahead, this is something you will cover, but in the end, with the YPP, you will get, maybe I'm skipping too far ahead, Mahmoud.
It's fine,
but
it's fine, go ahead.
It's fine. So if you're on a roster and you're invited to an interview for a specific opening, and you do receive that job, then as per the YPP program, you are ready to take it, wherever that may be. So it's good to go in with that mindset to begin with, that I may end up in any of these places. Obviously, bigger offices, there are bigger opportunities, like the regional commissions. So it's, I would say, beyond just a strategy, it's a good thing to become comfortable with and excited about if you want a career in the UN system.
Yes, exactly. And as Ahmed mentioned about the roster, yeah, I was going to talk about it, which is once you are placed on the roster, you are expected to stay there around 3 years. During this period, you are expected to be deployed for any of the duty station in the Secretariat for a B2 level fixed term contract. After the first 2 years, assuming you have satisfactory performance, you are expected to relocate to other duty stations like Addis Ababa, Bangkok, Beirut, Geneva, Nairobi, Vienna, and others. And it's after 2 years from the initial appointment. Now, before I give the floor to you, asking my colleagues the question you want, I just want to let's say, broaden your horizon more about applying for departments, agencies beyond the UN Secretariat. Okay, so in the UN careers, when you scroll down to the bottom, you will see many links. You can explore more the young professional program. You can join the global talent pool. You can find more opportunity about consultancies, internships, volunteering opportunity. What's really important to me here is that you discover the UN family of organization, because I mentioned many other agencies and funds, they have their own recruitment system. So you click on the UN family of organization and you will land on many or a dashboard of all the other agencies and funds with their own recruitment platform. For example, the World Bank. The World Bank has its own recruitment system, and actually they have their own young professional program, as you see here. So I advise you to take a look, discover this website. And if you don't want to go, website by website, although you will miss, because not everything are reported on this job opening hub, but also you can use this UN jobs, which will show you all the job vacancies across the UN. Also, I advise you, this is really important. It helped me and it still helped me today about how to prepare and understanding the international recruitment system, especially in the UN. There is a website dedicated by the United Nations Office of Geneva called Career Steps Thursday. It will show you a lot of tips using documentation, PDF, PowerPoint, videos about each stage in details, starting from building your application and ending with the competency-based interview. So check this website. Lastly, before we open the floor for Q&A, I would like, if you would like to support us, you provide your feedback by scanning this code. Your feedback is really valuable to enhance our future session, and we sincerely value your time by sharing your thoughts with us. So while we are opening the floor for your question, you can fill this survey. It's very fast to fill. And before we do that, as I mentioned in the beginning, I would like to invite my colleague Nelson to have or to play a light-hearted quiz with you to test your knowledge about the information you gained today. Nelson, are you ready?
Yes, thank you, Mahmoud. Let me just share my screen quickly. So we know that you've had a lot of information given to you just now. So hopefully this quiz will allow you to test your knowledge on the YPP as well as your general knowledge of the UN. And please let me know if you can see the quiz, the screen. Yes, I see people joining. So don't worry if you get any questions wrong, it will not affect your success in your application. While there are no prizes for getting the most answers right in the quiz, except for personal pride, of course, we hope it's a good way to remember what you've just learned. So I'll allow a couple more seconds for people to join the quiz. Just wait until we hit maybe 400 people or so. So I think we're ready to start, and the code will be at the top of the screen for the whole quiz.
Do you have difficult questions, Nelson?
What, sorry?
Do you have difficult questions?
No, they are not. They're not. Well, they would be difficult if they're only easy if you have paid attention in the workshop. So first question, how often does the YPP exam take place? I can see that we have a lot of answers so far, and the correct answer is a yearly process. So next question, where can you apply for the YPP? Inspira platform, foreign ministry, or a job platform? The correct answer is Inspira platform, as I see many people have already put. Next question, what factors determine basic eligibility for the YPP? Mother tongue, residence or gender, gender, age and education, or nationality, age, education and language proficiency? And I see that a majority of people have chosen that one, which is correct. So what is the age limit to be eligible to apply for the YPP? 30 years, 32 years or younger by the end of the year, or 28 years? Again, I see most people have chosen 32 years or younger, which is correct. Then for the next question, what is the minimum language level you can choose for English and or French while completing your application? Passing the UN language exam, fluency or mother tongue, intermediate or level 2 in reading, writing, speaking, and understanding. And this is really important as a question, so we make sure that you put the correct language requirements and do not get screened out. And so the third option was correct. What is the minimum education level required? The International Baccalaureate, bachelor's degree, or an equivalent 3-year degree relevant to the exam area, or a master degree? So yes, the correct answer is bachelor's degree. So you do not need especially high qualifications to be eligible for this program. What are the online assessment stages? Multiple choice questions, open-ended questions, and interview stage, an oral interview and psychometric testing, or a scenario-based exam, interview, and presentation? I can see we're getting a lot of responses so far, and the correct answer is multiple choice questions, open-ended questions, and the interview stage. So the next question, what will be given to you by the UN online examinations and test systems? Suggested study materials, guide to the test platform and sample multiple choice questions, an overview of life as an international civil servant, or a guide on passing the screening stage. And the correct answer is suggested study materials. For the next question, which is very important, if you are unsuccessful in this year's YPP exam, can you apply again? No, there's only one chance, or yes, if you're eligible, you can apply as many times as you want. And the correct answer for this is yes. If you're eligible, you can apply as often as you want. And this is really important to know in case you do not make it this year, you can always try again. So for some general UN questions, when was the United Nations founded? 1942, 1945, or 1948? And I see we have a couple answers, quite a few answers so far, and the correct one is 1945. Next question, how many member states are there in the UN? 193, 186, or 190? And the correct answer is 193. Moving on, which organ of the United Nations is primarily responsible for the maintenance of peace and security? The Economic and Social Council, the Human Rights Council, or the Security Council? There is a hint in the question for this. And the correct answer is the Security Council. Of the Security Council, who are the permanent members? China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, or China, Italy, and the United States of America, or China, Russia, and the United States of America? And I see that the majority of people have picked the correct answer, which is the first one. And last question, what is the name of the founding document of the UN? The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the UN Charter, or the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? All of which are very, very important to our work. And the correct answer, which I see most people have put, is the UN Charter. And so I would like to thank you all for participating and hope you're now experts in how the YPP and application process works, as well as experts in other functions. And I'll now hand it back to Mahmoud.
Thank you so much, Nelson. Now we'll open the floor for your question to interact directly with our YPP alumni. Just please make sure that your question is related to the YPP, and we cannot take all the question as we have around 1,000 participants. But I promise if we cannot take your question, you can email us and we will provide a personal answer for you. So thank you so much. And now just raise your hand and we'll take your questions one by one. So we're gonna start with Marijan. Go ahead, Marijan.
Hello, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, hello. Actually, my name is Marjan. I'm from Afghanistan and I'm living in India. I was just asking that because still I'm in India and I have the Afghanistan citizen. Can I apply for this program?
So the eligible member state are stated in our website, and neither Afghanistan nor India are eligible this year. But you can try next year, or you can apply for non-YPP position. Thank you, Marjan. Now would like to hear from Minaki Hilary.
Mahmoud, sorry, can I interrupt for a second just to ask a question? I see that there are a lot of questions in the Q&A. This is Geneva right here, Mahmoud. Can we help to kind of maybe answer some of the questions that are on the chat? Because I see quite a few of them, or how would you like to address
my
them?
my colleagues are answering them, but if you want to answer, yeah, please feel free to type the answer there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now I would like to hear from Minaki. Minaki, you are on mute. Now we'd go with Bryant. Bryant. Bryant, do you hear us?
Bryant Juan, maybe we can see the list of hands, but maybe the attendees, they cannot see the order.
Okay,
of who's-
can I come in now?
So, Bryant? No?
Can I
Patricia?
come in now?
So we are giving the floor in order of hands. So
Hello?
I can see
Hello?
kanye no ka friend kuna venda na kwa chitanda piga ICC ka.
yeah. So sorry, I've just muted the audience. So we'll go now with Hansen. Hansen.
Hello, hello. You hear me?
Hi, yeah.
Hello.
We hear you, Hansen.
Okay. Thanks for being part of the workshop. I'm really appreciate you, the president, the organizers. My question is, can you increase the age up to 35 rather than the age of 32? Because I think 35 is better. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Actually, it's beyond our ability to do that, but you are free to apply for other positions. Again, the YPP is no more than 10% of the positions recruited every year to the UN. Now, I would like to hear from Lina Aziz. Lina. Lina, we don't hear you. Next, comes Mari. Mari. Either Lina or Mari. Haruka, Uji.
Yes. Hello, it's Mary. Can you hear me? Oh. Can you hear
Maybe
me?
let's go with Mary first, then Haruka next. Sorry,
Yes.
Haruka.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity you gave me to ask my questions. Thank you for all the information you gave us, but my preoccupation is about the age as well, because most of the time the age rank is from 18 to 35, and we didn't have these informations earlier. We around 38 years old, and unfortunately we cannot join the YPP. So is there any other institution or other programs that we can join, please?
Thank you, Mari. We already mentioned that in the presentation. If you missed that part, don't worry. We're gonna share the recording with you. Haruka.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Haruka Fuji from Japan, and thank you so much for the presentation. And I would like to ask two questions. First, what is the motivation to apply? So I would like to ask questions to the YPP alumni. What is the motivation to apply for this program? And also, what kind of experiences did you do in your bachelor's or in your university?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Haruka. So she wants to hear from you about the motivation. So maybe we can start with Beatrice. So what the motivation that might lead someone to apply for the YPP or UN in general, Beatrice?
Well, the United Nations is a very attractive institution, no? Because of what it does. No, in my specific case of the regional commissions, the economic regional commissions have a very great prestige. So, for example, ICLAC, that is the institution that I currently work for, has always been very prestigious for me since I was studying at the university. So for me, being working at ICLAC right now, it's I don't know, like a goal that I always would like to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
That's from a perspective of a professional perspective, but at the same time, here, well, the environment here, at least the environment that I have met, no, it's super open, and there are a lot of benefits now from the workers, and I feel very comfortable actually coming to work in here and spend my days in here.
Yeah, I agree with you. The work environment is very diverse, and you feel you are among your family, and it's really nice to meet people from all around the world and to be proud of sharing your culture. What's about you, Elena? What kind of motivation that might lead someone to apply for the UN and YPP?
Yeah, thanks. I think also I have sort of professional motivations and personal motivations as well. So starting with the professional one, I mean, for me, it actually happened quite naturally. I started off with an internship at UNICEF and then a fellowship with UNDP and now YPP with the Economic Commission for Africa. Naturally, ever since I started studying, it just really much aligned with what I was quite interested in. And then overall, I mean, we all know the United Nations, and we are very well aware of the work that is conducted here. And so for me, it was sort of like a natural progression. And I've been lucky enough to be able to have sort of be in the process of fulfilling that. Personally, I do come from a very diverse background as well. I've grown up in many different countries, and so almost similar to Beatrice, like when I come to work, it's kind of I see that represented around me, and so I've always wanted to professionally work at somewhere that is similar to my background and also experience different cultures. I mean, it's taken me to many different countries, and that's something that is incredibly enriching for one's life itself.
I agree because working in the UN means you are working for the globe, serving the humanity, and yeah, being in different location is one of the aspects in working in international organization. Now I would like to give the floor for Fang. And again, guys,
hello.
Hi, go ahead, Fang.
Sorry, I'm Lina Zizi. I tried to unmute
Hi.
myself, but I wasn't
Hi, I'm Fang.
Go ahead, Fang.
So I have actually I asked the question in the chat of the master's degree, but my degree is in film and media. Is that related to will that be a related degree?
Geneva, can you answer this question?
Hi, yeah, I believe that could be considered as public information, but I'm not 100% sure. But definitely, if we're talking about like the type of work that we do, there are definitely departments and offices where the skills and knowledge that you might gain from that degree will be useful for us when we try to produce communication outputs to the public.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
thank
again,
you.
as we shared, please just select the closest job or field of study available in the list. Don't choose other. So even if you have this kind of degree, choose the closest one. Would like to go now with Muhammad. Muhammad, do you hear us? Then Sophia. Sophia, do you hear us?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi, I just had a question about my current degree. So I'm currently in a master's program. So I wanted to know how you would list that under the education portion, just so that I don't list it incorrectly and get screened out.
So the same applies, just choose the closest field from the available field of study in the list, and just being now in the master degree will not and it's not completed will not hurt you because the minimum is just a bachelor degree.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I think to add to that, I think there's a box that asks if you have obtained this degree that you are listing. So, and I think if you click it, then it will get rid of the end date automatically. So, and there's the open field where you enter the name of the degree, but then I think what Mahmoud is referring to is the drop down where they try to categorize specializations. And if you cannot find yours, choose the nearest one rather than other. But I think there's also an open field where you can enter the name of the degree as it is.
Yes.
Correct, Mahmoud? Yeah.
Exactly. Now we'll go with Divangana, and I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing the names in the wrong way. So Divangana.
Yeah, that's okay. My name is Devangna Sujay. I am from India. I'm currently doing my first master's. So my question is, and thank you for the incredible session. It shed a lot of clarity to me. The question is, if I had a dual master's on me, that is the first one I have is in cybersecurity, and I'm considering taking another master's degree in AI. Would I have a stronger profile, or will I be overqualified for an entry-level UN job? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone would like to answer this question? Okay, I can go.
I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, I don't think that, you know, the UN is obviously, as you can see from this workshop, there are so many people who are interested in this workshop and beyond. So it's always competitive. So I wouldn't necessarily think of it as overqualified. That doesn't necessarily mean that someone who has a higher degree will automatically be a better fit for a specific job opening. But at the same time, it would never necessarily count against them in that sense.
Yeah.
And Mahmoud, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I would like to add that list everything you have as long as you are you tailor your application, and AI is of course an added value, especially that we already shared about the UN 2.0 about data analytics and forecasting and innovation. So please do just keep in mind tailoring your application. Now I would like to go with the Gashomo. Gashomo Pam. Gashomo. Do you hear us? Gashomo.
My mic is... Hello.
Hello, Gashomo.
Hey, good day, everyone. Thank you for the awesome, excellent presentation. I would like to know, early on when I started to make applications with international NGOs, I learned that my research experience is very important. It has to be tailored to the position or the role that is advertised. And even though I have my first degree in architecture, I try to focus on the research experience from my undergraduate and what I'm currently doing in my master's, which is climate change adaptation. However, I have not been able to get into the roles that I want. So could you please tell what I could do differently? Although what I'm focusing on is internships and not particularly YPP. So do you have any information that will be helpful?
I would like my colleagues to jump in if they have an answer for Gashomo.
Maybe I can try to
Yes,
answer this, because similarly, I also have, if you see a job opening and you see a certain type of topic that they're quite interested in, you have academic research on that already under your belt, it is helpful. And so I would honestly just say, don't be discouraged. It probably, is not the fact that you have not enough research, but it's possible that somebody else might have more or might have more so what they're looking for. I think academic research, and that does definitely help your application. It helped for me, but that was actually more so at the later stage during the interview process where I was able to discuss that type of research. And so I think this is just on a personal motivation level. Don't be discouraged and keep applying. I mean, as we know, these things are quite competitive, and you're competing with hundreds of people at a time as well. So I understand that you're looking for internships, but even those are seriously competitive. And so I would just suggest keep trying, maybe looking at UN adjacent agencies possibly to get experience there, and then try to join, keep applying for the UN as you go. I think it's about building your CV to be able to match the UN, not entirely, but that's something that I found that was very helpful. By the time that I did join as a YPP, I had already about 3 or 4 years of work experience that were somewhat relevant to the work that the UN does. And so, it's not the end all be all, but just keep trying to tailor your CV and add to your CV so that you can become that candidate at the end of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Elena. Now I would give the floor to Sarah. Sarah Dessouqi. Sarah. Sarah, do you hear us? Okay, we might now go with the next on the list, Alex.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mahmoud, and thank you, everyone else, for delivering this helpful session. I'm currently also working in a UN agency for more than 2 years now, working as a consultant, and very excited about this opportunity. So I'm just have a few questions that I see that there are usually there are 3 references that needs to be provided for job application. But for the UN YPP, I see that we can provide more than 3 references, and I was wondering, like, is there a recommendation of how many references should be provided? And my second question is it allowed to bring notes to the written test? And the third question, sorry if there's too many questions. And the third question is, I know that we're put on a roster after if we're successful. And I'm just wondering, under this funding climate, is it guaranteed that the YPP applicants, are guaranteed a position? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. So for bringing the references to the test, if they are personal references, names, I don't recommend. If it's like published paper or scientific research or something like that, you can cite it in your written response, but not personal information. For the duration, so you are expected to be on between 0 to 3 years on the roster, and most of the time people are deployed to the UN. There is a chance that you might not be selected, but it's a low chance. So I don't advise to think about this later stage, just to focus on preparing yourself, your application, and everything will be managed later, because thinking about these scenarios might distract you right now. I would maybe now give the floor to my colleagues to answer the question about the references. How many references it's advised to bring into the application?
If I can jump in, sorry, Geneva.
Maybe Geneva and then Ahmed.
No, Geneva, go ahead first. I've spoken to.
No, I just wanted to say, I mean, I think I did put 3, but what I want to remind people is, if you put their names there, they will be contacted. And sometimes, you may have already not been connected with that referees for a while, but the HR team will definitely chase those in your references. So make sure that they are aware that you're part of their recommendation, people who will recommend you, and that they will be able to answer to UNHR in a timely manner. Just wanted to give that tips.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Geneva. Ahmed?
Well, I wanted to say the same. So if it says minimum of 3, I wouldn't go much beyond that, for the pure reason that, as Geneva said, if you are, hopefully you get through to the following stages, those references will be contacted. And as you know, people take different amounts of time to respond. So I would go with, 3, 4, maybe 5. But the key criteria is, obviously, other than meeting the minimum number, is just choose the people who you think, from your professional and academic experience, can speak the most honestly and positively about you. So don't just aim for a large list of very impressive people, because then, well, if they're very impressive, they might be very busy, and that'll be annoying later on if they need to respond to UNHR and they are really busy. So don't overpack it. just look for who can speak the best to your abilities. And just on the question of experience and how long it may take, and also the current climate, I would say, like, if I can give general advice, since this is the YPP, it really is a long process. So you're going to apply it now. By the time the screening happens, the first exam, the second exam, a year has, and then the interview, and then you find out a year has already passed, and then the rostering can take some time. So, and remember, no experience. I saw this question posted by multiple people in the Q&A. For the YPP, no experience is required. So don't stress about that aspect. List the experience you have when you're applying. And once you're done, do whatever you can to accumulate more experience. If anything, try as hard as, it's easier said than done, but try to forget about the different timelines and the when is the next stage going to happen, and just look at how you could find opportunities to build your CV. Because by the time, if you get through the first exam and the second and then the interview, and then you're rostered, by the time you're actually interviewing for a specific opening, there's been a lot of time for you to accumulate even more experience that you wouldn't have had when you first applied to the YPP. So I would say try not to obsess over the process, because it is a long process, and just keep focusing on how to continue improving your experience and your interests.
Thank you, Ahmed. And I would like to stop taking any questions here, because we are within 5 minutes to the dedicated time. And as I promised, we have a lot of hands wanted to share questions. We cannot take them now, but feel free to email us, and our emails that we shared in the invitation. Feel free to write the questions you want, and we promise to reply to you with personalized answer. Before we wrap it up, I just want to give the floor back to my colleagues to share their last words for the future applicants to the UN. So maybe we can start with Geneva.
Okay, what should I say? I mean, first of all, I think what's important is this is in general, not just by VP, but going into like finding a career to find exactly what your purpose is. And what I mean by that, I think it will be reflected in the way you answer questions during interview, in the way you write your motivation letter. And as you know, we have like 3 main values in the UN, integrity, diversity. So how does your purpose in life translate to what you do every day? Because really, as an international civil servant, as a UN staff, you really live that value day to day. And going back to the motivation, the reason why YPP is such an attractive program is one of the very few channel to be an international civil servant, which provide you stability, but also make sure that the things that you do every day do have purpose. And so if you have that sincere passion and purpose and keep going, trying, maybe not through YPP, but through other channels, I think there will be a way for you to be able to contribute. But the more importantly is it's about the cause. It's about peace and security, about human rights, and there are so many channels to get there. YPP is one of them. And throughout the preparation process, when you read about the UN, when you read about the global issues, hopefully that will make it clearer for you to really understand what you wanna contribute to the world, basically, or even just to your community. So just good luck, all the best, and thank you so much for Mahmoud and Mahmoud's team as well for putting this together. As I think Elena said, I wish we had this info session when I was applying as well. So good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Geneva. Very insightful. Elena?
Yeah, I would definitely echo what Geneva said about what's really guiding us, or what's really behind us, is the purpose and the passion for the type of work that the UN does. And there's many ways to be able to contribute for that, not just through the YPP, many other options that we've discussed today. And yeah, essentially just to wish everybody good luck. Just keep in mind that, the YPP is, like I mentioned before, very competitive, and it takes a lot of time. And so, prepare, focus, for the exams, for the interviews, etc. But in the meantime, try to keep, contributing in other ways, building that CV, and you never know. You sort of think, oh, it's so competitive, it's not going to be me, but it really could be you, as long as you come prepared and you have the right intentions behind this. You never know. So do your best, and all the best.
Thank you, Elena, for the helpful tips. Maybe you would like to hear now from Beatrice.
Yes, just to say that don't be afraid to apply and go step by step, stage by stage. Don't search too much. Just that. On all the best.
Thank you. Yeah, step by step. This is life. Ahmad.
Yeah, I think my colleagues, they said it all, but I would echo the same. Take it step by step. Don't think about it too much. Once you're done with one step, put it aside, continue reading, continue looking for opportunities to build your CV. As others said, the UN system is big, but what's even bigger is the wider ecosystem of organizations and associations that work on peace and security and sustainable development and economic resilience and all the different mandates of the UN. And many of those organizations work with the UN in different nations and different contexts. So look at the whole ecosystem of opportunities that you have rather than just the YPP or just UN internships, because really all that experience is relevant experience when it's in that field, and it will help you get closer to this if this is what you really want in the UN, and you may end up in an experience where you decide that's a different path that you want. So I would say prepare for this, but don't let it consume you. Just take it as an experience, and there's always next year. You have until you're 32 to keep applying. Maybe it changes to 35 in the future, who knows. And yeah, good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Ahmad. If also I allow myself to share a tip, just be consistent. In my opinion, the key to success is being consistent. So treat the process of finding a job as a job. So your job is to find a job. So give it a dedication, respect, time, allocated time, and be consistent. And you will land on your dream job at the end. Before we wrap it up, I would like also to thank my team that supported me during this presentation. Peter, Fayez, Shaoshang, Jahwe, and Nelson. Thank you so much for your support. Without you, this was not easy things to make. Also, for everyone who participated here, I would like to thank you very much for giving us the time to speak with you. And as I promised, I will reply to each one of you. Also, maybe a special notice for Lena and Sarah. I couldn't take your question, but I promise I will reach out personally. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best in the YPP and beyond. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.